Hey, welcome back, guys. So my name's Anthony Chambers. I am a real estate agent here in California. And on this channel, I just talk about most things that have to do with real estate. And today what we're going to talk about is what are the 4 things that you should have before accepting an offer from a potential buyer. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So if you're watching this video, it sounds like you're pretty close to accepting an offer. Congratulations. And you're just at the beginning of escrow, and that's an exciting feeling. So what are the 4 things you should look for when you're accepting an offer from a buyer? Let's go ahead and talk about that. So the first thing you want to make sure to verify with the buyer who's submitting an offer on your home is going to be their pre-approval letter. So very light overview of what a pre-approval letter is. It's basically a letter from a lender or a bank that has checked the finances of that buyer and verified that they have enough money to close escrow, and also that their debt to income ratio matches up with what is necessary for them to qualify for that mortgage, and also that their credit score rating matches the mortgage that they qualify for. So again, that is a pre-approval letter. Usually the buyer is going to submit all of their documents to that lender in order to get that pre-approval. And once they get the pre-approval letter, then they'll start submitting offers. However, sometimes buyers are friends with the lender or the bank, and they just have someone write up a letter saying, hey, yeah, we're pre-approved. So talk to your listing agent about that. And that way your listing agent can contact that lender and verify to the best of their knowledge that that person is qualified. They've already been vetted by the bank or mortgage company to purchase your home. So again, that's the first thing you want to look for is the pre-approval letter from the mortgage company. The second thing you want to look for is verification of funds to close. So a lot of times the buyer is going to come up with some sort of a down payment and a deposit. They also have to have money for closing costs, things like that. There's a lot of expenses that are involved. So sometimes buyers are very limited on funds, but you still want to make sure that they have enough money to close and enough money to cover any kind of expenses that are going to come up along the way. And how do you do that? You verify their funds in the bank. So usually what you want to do is ask the buyer to submit a recent bank statement showing the amount of money that they have in there. And what they can do is they can black out all of the different transactions. They can black out the account numbers with a marker, but you still want to see a full statement showing how much money they have in the bank. And it should be a current statement because again, those balances change from day to day. That's one way you can verify the funds for the buyer. A couple of other ways you can verify would be with a verification of deposit or verification of funds. So with that, basically the buyer just goes to the bank and the bank will put together a letterhead showing how much money that buyer has in the bank. And that way there's no transactions involved on the statement that you have access to. And it kind of keeps it a little bit more private, but at least you can see how much money they have in the bank. So that's the second thing you want to look for is a verification of funds. The third thing you want to look for when a buyer is submitting an offer on your home is their EMD or earnest money deposit. So usually what's going to happen is the buyer or buyer's agent is going to submit a copy of a check to you. And basically what that says is it's basically letting you know that the buyer is saying, if you accept our offer, we're willing to go ahead and immediately submit this earnest money deposit into escrow. We're going to deposit it. And that way you have a little bit of security in the transaction, knowing that we are motivated to continue this transaction. And if we live outside of the terms of the contract, then it is possible that you can keep some or all of this deposit. So again, that's going to be submitted either A, to their buyer's agent's broker, and then that broker would then show you verification of deposit that they have their EMD in deposit already, or possibly they're going to send you a photocopy of a check. And you can't actually cash that check, but it's just to let you know that we're ready to deposit this check into escrow if you accept our offer. So that's the third thing you want to look for. And the fourth and final thing that you want to look for is a typed or written offer. So this is mostly going to be the real estate agent's job to type that up with their buyer. And that is probably the most important thing you want to scour over with your real estate agent, because inside that offer is going to go over the different terms that the buyer is requesting. So it's going to go over things like the offer price, the inspection period, the appraisal period, the loan terms, how much of a deposit, how much of a down payment they're going to be submitting, and it's going to show any kind of way for them to get out of the transaction throughout the escrow process. So again, that's not anything that you would come up with. That is something that the buyer and the buyer's agent is going to submit to you. Although with your listing agent, be sure to review that, look for any kind of gotchas or any kind of red flags inside that offer. So that way you can help prevent the escrow transaction from deviating or going sideways, and it keeps everything clear. And that way everyone's on the same page throughout the transaction. So just to recap, first thing you want to look for is the pre-approval. Next is the verification of funds or verification of deposit. Third is the EMD copy, or proof that the EMD has already been submitted to the buyer's agent broker. And lastly is a typed or written offer. So those are the 4 typical things you want to look for when accepting an offer from a potential buyer. So what about you? What's typical in your market? Be sure to leave me a comment below. I'm always kind of curious to see how it works in other markets. And I hope you found the video useful. If so, click thumbs up, and hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.